Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 44 of the Yarnivore podcast. I am Sadie. I am your host. I'm also known as Sadie Ruin on Twitter and Instagram, and Blue Ruin on Ravelry. The Ravelry group for this particular podcast is called Yarnivore. You should come and join. That is where all the fun happens. That's where show notes can be found in each thread. And that is also where all prizes are disseminated from. But more on that later. I have no finished objects. I have none to report to you. Why, you may ask? Because primarily I've been obsessed with getting the blanket done. Oh yes, the blanket. I have worked on a few other things, so I think we'll jump right into works in progress. This may be a short episode. Be forewarned. It depends. So, I don't even know. I don't even know if I can... Hold on. Show you my mess. I'll show you my mess. Okay, so this thing is getting a bit ridiculous, as blankets are wont to do. That's what blankets do. They get ridiculous, particularly when you're making them husband-sized. Okay, so I'm using countless skeins of Patons Canadiana. This is the, there you go. That's the right color there. It's kind of like a tweed. I have a white version of this as well. This is some Eaton's Lady Fair Worsted Sayel. It is older than I am, but it's actually quite soft. For an acrylic, these are both, this is 100% acrylic. This is 96% acrylic, 4% viscous. I'm not complaining. They're working perfectly together, and they will make a very nice, big, warm, squishy blanket. So I will set those up here for a sec, and then I will attempt to show you how long this has gotten so far. I apologize, I'm a bit full of the snot. I can't even. When I put it on the ground, it comes up to here on me, and I'm 5'6". So, 8mm needles, I don't remember what that is in US terms, but folded in half, it is super freaking long. So I've got a little bit more time to work on it, but this is the big one that has to get done. It has a time frame, and so it's the winner of usually the what am I going to knit on tonight wars. It grows. Okay, it did not start out this wide. Stretching it has gotten it that wide. It'll be nice and warm. It'll be nice and big, and the husband will love it. And so this has been my major work. It has been, I've pretty much doubled it since you last saw it. Possibly even more. This is my, like I said, kind of, this is a time crunch. Ish. It depends on how long you think it takes to do a worsted held double blanket. For me, it's doable, but I'm not going to be able, I'm able to stitch on other things, but if I'm knitting, I feel guilty knitting on anything else, unless I'm in the car or something where I won't take it. So right now, that is what is winning, and that is the Garter Squish Blanket by Stephen West. It's a free pattern. It's really easy to do. It's great to use up yarn. I know that Tracy Schnuffletier, she did one out of sock weight for, I think, her nephew, and she held it triple. And that worked out really nicely. So it's just a great blanket for eating up yarn. And it's so squishy. I cannot, it's called the Garter Squish, and I thought, I went down a needle size and whatnot, but, because I believe it calls for, a 13, a US 13, and I'm using a US 10. Or is it 13mm and I'm using, no, it was a 15mm and I'm using, I don't know, 10. 10 millimeter, I'm using an 8. Either way, I went down a needle size because I didn't have the right needles, and holy moly, it's squishy. It's squishy, it's warm. If you need a squishy, warm, easy blanket, this is your jam. Petrie, if you've been watching, if you have me on Instagram, Petrie has decided that this is her blanket, and under no circumstances will it leave. So once I've done that, I'm going to have to make a knockoff blanket with the leftovers just for Petrie for sitting on the couch in her little spot, because she literally fell asleep hugging the blanket, like her little paw like wrapped around it. If I'm feeling technical, I will add a picture of that in at the end here, so you can see how much Petrie loves the blanket and why I will be making another one, because whatever Petrie wants. Now, I did get some work on my Garter Goodness, which is a paid-for Stephen West pattern. It's in my Mina Makes bag. This is part of my For Megan, but part of my participation in the For Megan knit along, of course, because it's all Cyborg's craft room. Not going to go into that again. I assume you've heard it a million times. There's my little doodly doo that says where I was last time. So I did get a bit further. I gave myself Friday of last week to work on it. I'm going to move it up while I'm talking to y'all, so I know where I was, because I assume that once I'm done the blanket, this is what's going to be big on my needles, because I'm really enjoying the knitting portion of it. Like, it is just solid garter, and I really like it. The stripes are really showing up right now. Usually I have such a hard time getting them to show up, but the main body so far was Box of 96 on the Sparkleite base, which is the 7525 Superwash Merino Nylon Stellina. I am now using the Squishalate, which are the stripes, in the Spirograph Nebula, and it looks like something like this. I finished the entire skein of Box of 96. I've moved on to Spirograph Nebula, but very barely. Like, maybe a couple rows. You can't tell yet, even. So I'm on to the second skein. It takes 4 skeins. I caked the next skein, which I thought was a Soccolate, but is actually Bios. This is Impromptu Dance Party, and it is the Bios base, which is 100% Superwash Merino. And then the last one that's going to go in, which I haven't caked yet, is probably the oldest skein I have from her, which is a Soccolate, the 7525 Superwash Merino Nylon, in the Stellar colorway, which I love. So at the end of it all, this is going to be a giant shawl of great magnitude, and there you have it. I can't wait to get back to it. Working on the blanket consistently, hold on, is really making my hands sore. I have to take breaks because it's really heavy, and I'm not sure if other people do this, but this is what I do. When I'm knitting socks, I'm really close here. There is very low movement. There's not a lot of stuff going on here. This is my next work in progress, which I started just to go to the movies, and I actually got quite far on because we went by car to a few places, but I'll talk about it in a minute, but I'm going to try and show you. So, when I'm knitting a sock, right, I will knit a row for you up here. When I'm knitting a sock, there's not a lot going on. There's not a lot of movement. There's a lot more movement right now because it's so far up, but if I sit back, I'm not really, my hands are pretty static, except for that they're moving ever so slightly. Well, ever so slightly. There is movement. There's visible movement of my hands, right? But I'm not doing grandiose gestures. Now, when I'm working on the blanket, I've got like this huge ball that I'm pulling from constantly, so I'm always doing that, as opposed to just the slight tug of your yarn here. And because there's so much of it, you're holding a lot of blanket, and you're really making those movements. Like, I don't know. When I'm down here and I'm doing it, it's so quick, and so like I don't even notice it. But when I'm knitting in terms of like something big, I feel like I'm doing these huge gesturific movements, and my wrists are working a lot more, and I'm holding a lot more blanket on a needle, and it's heavy, so that's the difference. But let's go into the next work in progress now that I've shown you. This is a skein of Twisted Limon, which I got from Dramatic Knits Stephen, who is adorable. I also want to say that they released the pattern that I saw at SSK with the neon pencil, and it is awesome. So if you like shawls and you like bright colors, you should go get that pattern. I'm not sure what it is. Go watch Dramatic Knits a few episodes a while back. No, just go ask Stephen. And get some neon pencil, because that colorway is, I'm telling you, is the next big thing. Okay, I love it. I love it. That's why I haven't knit with it. It has to stay in the stash because I love it. Anywho, got this from Stephen at SSK a couple years ago, and it is very Halloween-rific. I lost the tag. Let me just say tag, really sad. I lost the tag. It's around here somewhere, but around here somewhere can mean many things. So I cast it on because I needed something plain, and the sock I'm knitting out of the Gale's Art it has a repeat. It's a 3-row repeat, and then the hedgerow mittens I'm knitting, that also has repeat. And I was just like, I just need something boring, because Friday, I believe it was Friday, we went to see Bridget Jones's Baby. Excellent movie if you like the Bridget Jones series, which I do. I'm big into Bridget. So we went to see Bridget Jones's Baby, and I needed something to knit on. So I cast this on. Because hey, Halloween, hey, baddie bag, it just needed to happen. It was ready to go. So I got the ribbing done, and I enjoyed the movie so much that I accidentally did 4 stripes of ribbing instead of 3, which is my usual. Whatever, it's all good. And we've been going into we've been driving more and longer, and since my husband drives, I decided I'm just going to bring the knitting in the car, and subsequently I've gotten several stripes done that way. So that is that. It's on a US 1 2.25 millimeter needle, and yeah, it's my basic sock. It's gonna be in the car. I believe we're going to Tacoma tomorrow, so I might work on that, unless I decide that I'm going to take the blanket in the car, but I highly doubt it, just because I don't want the blanket in the car. That would be, like, I think that would be too smished. It's my theory anyway, so I'll probably take this. I might take something with a pattern, though. Maybe I'll take the Cyborg Craft Room. I will decide in the morning. It will be a snap decision made under little sleep, because I never sleep when he's not around, and I am not looking forward to the first week of him being gone, because I'm not going to sleep that week. I'm not. I'm probably going to end up like falling asleep in front of the TV and just being ridiculous. But you know what? I get to do that. I get to do whatever I bloody well want, because, hello, my life. Alrighty. Now, there will be a sweater knit along. It starts October 1st, which will be awesome, because I have the True Friend sweater, which is probably past 50%, but whatever. I'm running the sweater knit along, so I can do whatever I want. October and November, your sweater has to be under 50% completed in order to be entered. Entry entries will be on Ravelry under the Ravelry FO thread. There will be a chatter thread if you want to talk about what sweaters you're going to knit or what yarns you're going to be using. I'm also going to pull out the winter wheat. I would love to get that done during this. The hashtag for Instagram will be the Yarnivore, SKAL, so YARNIVORE, SKAL. October 1st to the end of November, the last day of November. Adult sweaters only. Sorry, no wee ones. Maybe teenagers because they're equally as big, but no baby sweaters. And I did receive an Instagram from someone who is not on Ravelry but is on Instagram. If you'd like to, I figured it out. If you'd like to participate on Instagram and you don't want to have a Ravelry account, that is fine. But what you will need to do is direct message me a picture of your finished sweater. I will enter into the Ravelry thread on your behalf with the sweater, and then I will give you a number, and I will come back and tell you your number, and all will be well. That way I don't have to cross-reference who has finished sweaters on Instagram and who has finished sweaters whatever. If you are not on Ravelry, if you're participating through YouTube or through Instagram solely, direct message me and I will get that put into the thread and I will get you a number and get that back to you. So that's how it's going to work if you're not a member of Ravelry. Although usually I do make the prizes for the group only, which I guess I'm going to have to open that up. I hadn't thought of that through. If you are posting in the Ravelry boards, you should be a member, because that's just courtesy and not being rude. There will be prizes. I will do the same rotating prize thing I did last time, where for every 20 entries I will add another skein of yarn. It'll be Knitter's Nightmare yarn probably, unless I go through my stash and find some stuff, but for the most part it will probably be Knitter's Nightmare yarn, because guess what? It's what I have a lot of. I don't have a lot of, actually, but it seems like the appropriate thing to do since it's my yarn and it's my stuff. So there you have it. There was an update today. I'll just show you some of the stuff that's up in there briefly, and then I'm going to talk about books. So if you don't like the update stuff but you like the book talk, fast forward on through the books to the books. If you don't like either of those and this is the end of the podcast for you, thank you for watching so far. No hard feelings. And yeah, so let's move on. There are several new colorways, a couple returning ones. This is one of the new ones. It is called Unicorn Pooping Ice Cream. I really like this one. I kind of want to keep some, but I'm not going to. Where can I put these? Where can I put these that they're not going to... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, seriously, Sadie, why don't you think of these things better? I don't. You know why? Because I'm not that swift some days. Returning is Run Through the Jungle, which you have seen. I'm using this for my winter wheat right now that I haven't worked on in a while, but you'll be seeing that come back. And that, of course, is named after a Creedence Clearwater Revival song, which I constantly get confused with another song. Okay, I'm going to put these over here because that works. Just going to load them up. This one is a personal favorite of me and my husband's. It looks completely different, but they're actually the exact same color scheme. It's just the rescanning process. One came out way more blue and one came out way more green, and it's called Tad Cooper. If you've watched Gallivant, okay, someone commented that they looked for Gallivant, and so I'm going to clarify here. It's called Gallivant. Gallivant. I'm sorry, I slur my words and I eat the ends. Maybe it's a Canadian thing. And it's a musical comedy, and everything was written by Alan Menken. And Tad Cooper, if you haven't watched, Tad Cooper is a bearded dragon that Prince Richard thinks is going to be a dragon. He doesn't think it's a lizard. He thinks it's going to be a dragon. And so the whole thing is, have you seen my dragon? Have you seen my dragon? Ted Cooper, my dragon. And he super believes in Ted Cooper. So Ted Cooper now has a colorway. I need to rewatch that because it's been too long. And there's 2 seasons and they're awesome. And then they got canceled for this 3rd season, but Netflix might pick them up as a 3rd season, which would be awesome because I need more in my life. This is a new colorway. That's actually pretty true to form right there. It's called Lady Lazarus. It's named after a Sylvia Plath poem. Very depressing, I know, except that the last lines of that poem are, out of the ash I rise with my red hair and I eat men like air. Something similar to that. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the poem directly in front of me, but with my red hair out of the ash, I had to with that. So, Lady Lazarus. We've got more Enchanté. It's on the giant base. Really popular. Speckly, splattery goodness. That's there. Got the new color Supernova, which I'm actually going to be using a skein of for the West Knits Mystery Knit Along. I think I've chosen my 4 colors. This is a peachy, pinky, purpley, yellowy, greeny yumminess. This is also on Giant. And then in Sport, we have some of the Halloween colorways. So in Sport, we have Original Scream Queen and Creature Feature. And those are up. And that's everything for the update this week. This week, there should be another update next week. Just saying. I'm trying to do weekly updates. I'm trying to be good about that. I'm trying. Doesn't mean I'll win all the time, but I'm trying. Trying to adjust and set myself a very regimented schedule, which is not the easiest thing in the world, given that I'm a spouse of a military man, but I'm trying. Oh, and I got this bag. This is adorable. I got it at Safeway. It's a reusable bag, and when you undo it, it's a kitten. It's an angry kitty. I love it. Just thought I should show you. Okay, so book talk. I finished 2 books. The first one I finished is called Sandstorm by James Rollins. It is a honkin' book. Honkin'. Anything over 600 pages gets the term honkin' added to it. It's the first of the Sigma Force novels. Sigma Force novel, and the reason I bought, okay, I'm gonna backtrack a minute here. I saw a mass market paperback called The Bone Labyrinth, which had anthropologists and forensic anthropologists in it. And I wanted to pick it up, and then I realized it's like the 7th book in a series. It's the 7th book of the Sigma Force series. So I figured, okay, I should probably read the first one. So I went and I got the first one. And if you like kind of it's almost like a murder mystery thriller kind of deal. I consider this like fluff reading, like John Grisham. Who else? Probably like a Dan Brown. It doesn't require a lot of heavy thinking. It's fast paced. It makes you want to flip the page. The characters are somewhat relatable. Some of them are absolutely batcrap crazy. There is an Aboriginal character as a main character, which I love, Painter Crow. And yeah, if you enjoy, I don't know what I should say if you enjoy. Basically, this one takes place in the Middle East, in Oman, primarily around Oman, as well as in London. And it's got some really interesting facts that it's researched. It's, like I said, it's a mystery. It's a kind of a thriller. It's kind of espionage-ish. Sigma Force is a fictitious group in the DARPA defense something. Anyway, it's a United States group that does That does stuff. Wow, that is such a bland thing to say. I'm reading the back, like, is there something here that will tell me, that will give me a better idea? I'm just going to read the back for you, just to give you an idea. I really enjoyed it. It took me like 3 or 4 days. It's an inexplicable explosion rocks the antiquities collection of a London museum, setting off alarms in clandestine organizations around the world. Now the search for answers is leading Lady Kara Kensington, her friend Sophia Almaz, the gallery's brilliant and beautiful curator, and their guide, the international adventurer Omaha Dunn, into a world they never dreamed existed, a lost city buried beneath the Arabian desert. But others are being drawn here as well, with some dark and sinister purposes, and the many perils of the death-defying trek deep into the savage heart of the Arabian Peninsula pale before the nightmare waiting to be unearthed at the journey's end. An ageless and awesome power built that could create a utopia or destroy everything humankind has built over countless millennia. These are terrifying mysteries hidden deep in the desert sands. So there you have it. That's the kind of book it is. If you like John Grisham, I picked up the second one already. I'm going to read the series. Clearly, New York Times bestseller. Blah blah blah. The other book I read is We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler. She may be known for writing the Jane Austen Book Club. Now this book, I want to say, I have a disclaimer for you. And it's a disclaimer I wish someone had told me. You see this chimp on the front? There's monkeys. I hate monkeys. I'm afraid of monkeys. I hate monkeys. There's monkeys. There is a monkey in this book. For the majority of this book, there is a monkey. I thought I could get past that. I thought I'd be fine with it. I figured once I realized that the monkey was going nowhere after like 150 pages, and this is like a 300-page book, I figured, okay, I can tough it out, this is fine. It's not freaking me out yet. This isn't like a real monkey in my face. Or a fake monkey in my face. I'm reading about a monkey, maybe I can pretend it's a human being. And then there's dead kittens. Okay, if you cannot stomach, if you're one of those people who shouldn't be around anything with animals, like dead animals, don't read this book. There's dead kittens. Took me 2 days to read it. I was all prepared to say it was a really good book if you weren't afraid of monkeys, and then they threw dead kittens at me, and now I have to tell you, don't read this book. It's a great book if you can get past that, but I can't. Quite frankly, I wanted to throw it in the garbage. It's a notable book from the New York Times Book Review in 2013. Khaled Hosseini, who wrote The Kite Runner, gives it a great review on the front. Alice Sebold on the back. Clearly, they don't mind dead kittens. I mind them. So if you're one of those people, don't touch this book. If you're a person who doesn't care about monkeys or dead kittens, then you can probably read this and you'll probably really enjoy it. Or if you can overlook the dead kitten, maybe you can. But I can't. Okay, nightmares. Nightmares. This book. Hate that. Disclaimer, because I have friends, particularly my knit group back home. Well, back in Minnesota. My knit group back home in Regina, too, would probably feel the same way. But they're always like, if there's a dead animal, you need to warn us. There's a dead animal. If you're afraid of monkeys, there's a monkey or a chimp for the majority of the book, as implied by the chimp on the cover. I'm really glad I didn't buy it full price. I picked it up used. I think I might have gotten it at Goodwill, or I might have picked it up used somewhere else, but I did not pay full price for this. I feel very good about that because no. Just no. But I read it, and the main character, Rosemary, is really funny and really enjoyable, and I like reading about her and her crazy friend who keeps getting arrested for no reason, except that she apparently feels the need to get arrested consistently and acts as a trope. But, if you can't handle dead kittens, then don't read that damn book. I'm leaving that in. Just saying. That is everything I had for you this week. It is a short episode, mostly because, hey, Blanket So if I finish the blanket before the next recording, it may have to vanish before the next recording. Not 100% sure on that, but you're never 100% sure about anything. But I will take I'll do a quick doodly-doo to throw in at the finished objects for next week if it gets finished. When it gets finished, I will just take a little video and then I will add that in to next week. And yeah. There's Petrie. She probably wants food. Right. So, end of the podcast. I have one more podcast to do, and then I have some running around. So, I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope you have a wonderful time, and I will see everybody next week. Bye.